Welcome back to our Fiercest Rivalry series, and today we're in Manchester, United versus City, a derby that splits a city in two and has given us some of the most unforgettable moments in football. If you're a Red Devil through and through, a proud Blue, or just someone who's intrigued by the beautiful game's rich history, stick around because we're going to explore what makes this clash so special. It's not just about the 90 minutes on the pitch, it's about a city divided by colours, loyalties and legacies. Let's start at the heart of it all, Manchester itself. This is a city that was the beating pulse of the Industrial Revolution. Back in the 19th century, Manchester transformed from a modest town into a global powerhouse of mills, factories, and innovation. Cotton was king, and the canals buzzed with trade. But it wasn't all glamour. This was a working-class stronghold, where people toiled long hours in tough conditions. That grit and resilience shaped the Mancunian spirit. Hard-working, no-nonsense, and fiercely proud. Football arrived in this environment and quickly became more than a pastime. It evolved into a core part of identity, a way for communities to rally together amid the daily grind. In Manchester, supporting a team isn't casual, it's woven into the fabric of life. Families pass down allegiances like heirlooms, and match days are sacred. The derby embodies that perfectly. It's a battle for bragging rights in pubs, workplaces, and streets across the city. Picture it, one city, two faces. The red of United and the blue of City. On one side, the storied giants of Old Trafford, symbols of glory and tradition. On the other, the sky blues of the Etihad, representing ambition and reinvention. It's a poetic divide, isn't it? A rivalry born from shared roots but pulled in different directions. As we journey through this story, we'll see how these two clubs have mirrored Manchester's own evolution, from industrial might to modern metropolis. So, grab a cuppa, settle in, and let's trace the origins of this epic contest. Now, to understand the Manchester derby, we have to go back to its humble beginnings. The first clash between these two sides happened way back on the 12th of November, 1881. It wasn't at Old Trafford or the Etihad. Those iconic stadiums were still decades away. Instead, it was a friendly match between Newton Heath, who would later become Manchester United, and West Gorton St Mark's, the precursors to Manchester City. Newton Heath won 3-0 that day. But little did anyone know, this was the spark of a rivalry that would span over 140 years. Let's rewind a bit further to the club's origins. Manchester United started life in 1878 as Newton Heath LYR Football Club, formed by workers from the Lancashire and Yorkshire Railway Depot. They were a team of railwaymen playing on a rough pitch near the tracks. Times were tough. The club nearly went bankrupt in 1902, but local businessman John Henry Davies renamed them Manchester United in 1902. A few years later, in 1910, they moved into Old Trafford. From those early days, United built a reputation for resilience and success, becoming one of England's most decorated clubs with league titles, European triumphs, and a global fan base. Manchester City, on the other hand, traced their roots to 1880 when St Mark's was founded by Anna Connell and two wardens from St Mark's Church. It began as a cricket and football club to keep local youths out of trouble amid the industrial slums. They became Ardwick Association Football Club in 1887 before financial woes led to a rebrand as Manchester City in 1894. City's early years were marked by ups and downs, promotions, relegations, and even a spell in the third tier in the late 1990s. But they've always had that underdog spirit, reflecting the city's working class ethos. For much of the 20th century, United held the upper hand with a richer trophy cabinet, thanks to eras under managers like Matt Busby and Sir Alex Ferguson. City, meanwhile, had flashes of brilliance, like their 1960s and 1970s successes, but often played second fiddle. This imbalance added fuel to the rivalry. United as the established power, City as the plucky challengers. Yet both clubs emerged from the same East Manchester soil, making the derby feel like a family feud. It's that shared history that makes every encounter so charged, a reminder that in Manchester, football is personal. Every great rivalry has its defining moments, those twists that shift the narrative and etch themselves into folklore. The Manchester derby is no exception, packed with drama, heartbreak, and triumph. Let's walk through some of the biggest turning points that have shaped this contest. One of the most poignant came in 1974. Manchester United were teetering on the edge of relegation from the top flight, and who should they face in a crucial derby but their City rivals? Enter Dennis Law, a United legend who'd crossed the divide to join City the previous year. In the dying minutes at Old Trafford, Law scored with a cheeky backheel, a goal that sealed United's fate and sent them down to the second division. Law didn't celebrate. He looked devastated, knowing what he'd done to his former club. It was a moment of pure irony, highlighting the emotional ties that bind these teams. Fast forward to the 1990s and 2000s, and it was United's era of dominance under Sir Alex Ferguson. The Reds won 13 Premier League titles, with derbies often one-sided affairs. City were the noisy neighbours, as Ferguson famously called them, close but not quite a threat. United's superiority was unquestioned, with memorable wins like the 5-0 thrashing in 1994 underscoring the gap. But 2008 marked a seismic shift. That's when the Abu Dhabi United group took over Manchester City, injecting massive investment and ambition. Suddenly, City could attract world-class talent, building a squad capable of challenging the elite. The balance began to tip, and by 2011, it exploded in spectacular fashion. City travelled to Old Trafford and hammered United 6-1, their biggest derby win since 1955. Mario Balotelli's "Why Always Me" celebration became iconic, signalling that the noisy neighbours were now roaring lions. Then came 2012, perhaps the most dramatic title race in Premier League history. On the final day, City needed a win against Queen's Park Rangers to pip United to the crown. Trailing 2-1 in stoppage time, Edin Dzeko equalised, and then Sergio Agüero scored that unforgettable goal. As commentator, Martin Tyler screamed, "City clinched their first league title in 44 years, right under United's noses. It was a turning point that cemented City's rise and intensified the rivalry like never before." At its core, the Manchester derby isn't just about who wins on the day, it's a clash of philosophies, two distinct ways of approaching the game that reflect the club's identities. On one side, Manchester United embody tradition, heart, and a touch of romance. On the other, Manchester City represent modernity, precision, and systematic excellence. It's like pitting a classic novel against a cutting-edge thriller. Let's start with United. Their ethos is rooted in heritage and homegrown talent. Think of the famed academy that produced the class of '92. Ryan Giggs, Paul Scholes, Gary Neville, and others who defined an era. Under Sir Alex Ferguson, United played with flair, aggression, and an unyielding will to win. It was about individual brilliance within a team framework, fostering a club culture where loyalty and history matter. Old Trafford's Theatre of Dreams nickname captures that romanticism. Last-minute comebacks, swashbuckling attacks, and a belief in the underdog spirit. Even in tougher times, United's philosophy clings to that legacy, developing youth and playing with passion. Contrast that with City, who've embraced a more contemporary blueprint, especially under Pep Guardiola. It's all about tactical mastery, possession-based football, and a relentless system. Guardiola's tiki-taka evolution, short passes, high pressing, and positional play, turns the team into a well-oiled machine. Investments have allowed City to build squads around this vision, with players like Kevin De Bruyne orchestrating from midfield. There's less emphasis on raw emotion and more on control, innovation, and data-driven decisions. It's modern football at its finest, efficient, dominant, and often beautiful in its complexity. No rivalry would be complete without its icons, the players who've lit up derbies with moments of magic. Both Manchester United and City boast legends who've left indelible marks on this fixture, turning games into personal sagas. For United, George Best stands as an eternal symbol. The Belfast boy dazzled in the 1960s with his skill and flair, scoring memorable goals against City, including a hat-trick in 1970. Then there's Eric Cantona, the enigmatic Frenchman whose swagger defined the 1990s. His chip in a 1996 derby win was pure artistry, embodying United's flair. Ryan Giggs and Paul Scholes, products of the academy, were derby mainstays. Giggs with his weaving runs, Scholes with pinpoint passes. And who can forget Cristiano Ronaldo? His free kick in a 2009 thriller and overall dominance added star power. City's pantheon is equally impressive. Colin Bell, the king of the keepbacks, was a midfield maestro in the 1960s and 70s, scoring crucial derby goals during City's golden spell. Yaya Touré brought power and poise in the 2010s, his FA Cup semi-final winner in 2011 a turning point. Vincent Kompany, the rock-solid captain, scored a thunderous header in 2012 to keep City on title course. Sergio Agüero is synonymous with drama, that 2012 title clincher plus multiple derby strikes. Kevin De Bruyne's vision has orchestrated many a City masterclass, while Erling Haaland's goal-scoring prowess promises future legends. These players didn't just score or defend, they embodied their club's spirits. They're the heroes fans recount in pubs, keeping the passion alive across generations. The true heartbeat of the Manchester derby? The fans. They're the ones who turn a match into an event, dividing the city into red and blue halves. Manchester's supporter culture is deeply ingrained, reflecting the working class roots we talked about earlier. On the red side, United fans, the Red Army, fill Old Trafford with a roar that's legendary. Choreographies, or tifo displays, often pay homage to club history. United's global appeal means diverse crowds, but locals bring that authentic Manc bite, passionate, vocal, and unforgiving. Across town, City's blue side at the Etihad creates a different vibe. The South Stand pulses with energy. Since the 2008 takeover, City's fanbase has grown, blending lifelong supporters with newer ones. Their choreos are slick and creative, often nodding to recent triumphs. The atmosphere can be electric, especially in big games, though some say it's more measured than Old Trafford's raw intensity. Socially, the divide runs deep, but isn't vicious like some rivalries. Families might be split, a red dad, blue kids, leading to banter in homes and workplaces. Pubs are lined by colour. On Derby Day, the city hums with tension, scarves fly, and streets empty as everyone tunes in. It's this cultural split that makes the derby more than sport. It's Manchester's soul on display, where loyalty is everything. Numbers tell their own story in football, and the Manchester Derby's stats show how the balance of power has shifted back and forth over time. Historically, Manchester United have held the edge with more derby wins, but in recent years, Manchester City's surge has significantly narrowed the gap, making the contest more evenly matched than ever. In the Premier League era, the rivalry has remained tight, with both clubs enjoying memorable victories and high-scoring encounters. Some matches have ended in emphatic wins that still get talked about decades later, from United's biggest derby triumphs in the 20th century to City's famous away victory at Old Trafford in the 2010s. Beyond the numbers, the derby has delivered unforgettable storylines, dramatic relegation battles, title-deciding clashes, and moments of controversy that still divide opinion in pubs and living rooms across Manchester. These statistics and records aren't just figures, they're milestones that show how fortunes swing, ensuring that every new chapter in this rivalry adds to a rich and evolving history. As we wrap up this journey through the Manchester Derby, it's clear this isn't merely a football match. It's a tapestry of history, emotion, and culture. From the industrial streets where it all began to the global stage it commands today, the rivalry between United and City captures the essence of Manchester. Resilient, divided, yet united in its love for the game. We've seen the birth from railway workers and church teams, the turning points that flipped scripts, the contrasting philosophies of heart versus head, the legends who became immortals, the fans who fuel the fire, and the stats that quantify the drama. Whether you're red or blue, or just appreciating from afar, there's something profoundly human about it. A reminder that football reflects life's ups, downs, and unbreakable bonds. So, next time a derby rolls around, remember, it's more than 90 minutes. It's the story of a city, its people, and the beautiful game that binds them. Let's aim for 1,000 likes, and if we get there, I'll let you vote on which rivalry we cover next in this series. Drop your suggestions in the comments, and the one with the most likes will be the next video. Thanks for watching, subscribe if you haven't already, and share your favorite derby memory in the comments. Until next time, take care.